Good morning, YouTube. All right, so I guess the last time we talked about with the Marshall Code 50 or any of the Marshall Code products, we talked about achieving a certain sound. So I'm at this point now where I feel like I've outgrown the code. And I'm playing around with hybrid tube amps. The problem with these hybrid tube amps that you're seeing out there, like the Joyo Zombie, the Orange Micro Dark, the Micro Terra, and things like that, here's what people aren't going to tell you. In order to achieve the full potential of these items, you are going to have to put these amps, regardless of how small a speaker you have, on a stupidly high level. So if you're a bedroom player like me, right? Yeah, there you go. If you're a bedroom player like me, you have kids, one of these amps, because of what you need to make it happen, is not really feasible. So that brings into, the solid state, your codes and things like that. Can you achieve the same sound out of a code that you can out of a tube amp? And the answer is roughly yes, but you're gonna have to do some modifications. So what I'm going to show you today is kind of how I go about doing this. I have a setting that I have adopted for metal. It chunks really good, and I thought it was great, and then I started throwing some different principles into it because I ran into the same problem with solid state that I was running into with these tube amps, that in order to get the circuits excited or to get the speakers moving, I had to have it at a stupid loud volume, right? I have kids, man. Like, my kids' rooms are like right over there in the media room, like outside the media room. So I have to have it at a stupid volume, and if I want to play at night or if I want to play through headphones, it doesn't really work. So I'm going to take my, I guess it's called my metal chunk setting. I use it for gent, I use it for chug, things like Gojira, the Haunted, things like that. This is my setting. And for a while it was my go-to setting, and then I started futzing around with it, and I started adding a few things into the signal chain, and I came up with something pretty phenomenal. So, all right, onto the setting. This is my, there we go. It's my metal chunk setting, okay? So I don't think you can see this. You'll be able to see the numbers on everything, and I think that'll be good. So what I'm running this through is an OD American classic Marshall 100 watt with a 1960X cab, all right? For distortion, we've got the Governor, right? Let's see if we can get it to, okay. Maybe this will work for us. We got the Governor. I'm not sure, can you see the settings? Looks like drive is at 6.5, tone is at 6.5, and levels 5.5, okay? It's not awful. It's, tell you what, I'll let you take a listen to it and see what you think. And then I'm gonna show you what I've done on top of this, and we'll see what you think that way. All right, so let's start this. So I'm using my ESP FM 1000 or EC 1000 FM. The neck pickup is all the way up. The bridge pickup is sitting right at about 8. My tone's exactly where it wants to be. So if you're, or where I like it, if you're wanting to get a good chug, a good chunk, this setting I thought was pretty good for it, but it kind of started falling flat. So right, I'm down in C. So let's just take it up just a little bit more. So it chunks, it chugs a little bit. Not great, but let's see if we can fix that. How can we fix that? What can we do? exactly did I do? What exactly did I do to make that amp go instantly without touching any buttons, go instantly from, I guess, to go from okay to excellent? And it's simple. I threw a driver in front of it on a solid state amp, on an already overdriven solid state amp. I didn't change anything on the amp. It's connected via Bluetooth. I didn't change anything. I left everything just like it was. So there's a lot of different thoughts here. Some people will tell you, hey, you need to throw a tube screamer in front of it. And like on a lot of these distorted tube or hybrid tube amps, people say throw a tube screamer in front of it. I don't like the tube screamer, and here's why. The tube screamer takes and it drops out all your mids, or drops out all your lows, and it scoops your mids and highs, and it makes this just really annoying whoosh, swoosh, swoosh sound every time you hit the strings. And that sucks, because then you got to go into the amp and you got to turn the bass way up. But the problem is, in order to achieve these chunk settings on the code, you have to already have the bass, the presence, and the resonance turned up pretty high, because while this amp mimics a tube amp, it's not, it mimics it. That's what it does. So you have to kind of futz with the settings in order to get it. So what pedal am I using? That's my secret. So here's what I'm going to tell you to do. If you want to get that kind of chunk, that kind of chug out of your code, there are a lot of great settings out there. As a matter of fact, I think one of the gentlemen, I know his first name is Dennis. I'm not going to screw up your last name, Dennis. Has commented on my videos, and he has some really great settings, some really awesome settings. But unfortunately for my ears and what I'm going for, I need just a little bit more. So I think he has like an Injustice for All setting, and he has a couple other metal settings, and they're really good. They don't sound like they're in a box. They're pretty dead on. I like them, but I like a little more. Don't we all? But I like a little more. Okay, so whatever pedal you choose to put in front of this, I would not put a distortion. I would not put a fuzz. Okay, I would just put like a straight drive. You can achieve that through a soul food. You can achieve that through like a tight drive. You can achieve that through, man, if you even wanted to go this far, a tight metal. I don't want to show how I've done this because, well, it's my sound. Okay, and that's I've achieved my sound. What I can tell you is that the volume is about 9 o'clock, and the volume on this is all the way up, and the drive is about 9 o'clock, or 9 o'clock from 0. All right. I'm basically taking and oversaturating my solid state amp with more signal than just coming straight out of the guitar. All right. And that's just really what it boils down to. I'm oversaturating it. And then people will say, oh, you're stupid. You're not supposed to do that on a solid state amp. That's not what solid state amps are made for. Okay. Why'd that work? Why did that work? Why did I get a better sound? If that's not what you're not supposed to do, why did that work? Or could it be that maybe you just don't know how to use your amp properly? So, yeah. I don't have an effects loop. I don't have an effects return on the code. I ran it in front. I oversaturated the signal. I gave it a little boost, and the results are phenomenal. So you can use tube screamer. There's a lot of different things out there, but I would really shy away from using anything other than an extra drive. I like the tight drive. Heck, you could probably even use a blues driver and that would do what you need it to do. So I just kind of blew everybody's theory out of the water. Now I got another surprise for you. So the last video we talked about, I showed you guys something. I showed you kind of a project, and I was really intent on kind of filming this, but when I got down to doing it, there was a lot of work that needed to be done, and GoPro was in charge, and I got kind of excited. There's a lot of work that needed to be done in order to fit things. You kind of have to route some things out and things like that, or you can use chisels if you want to, just whatever. But as for soldering, man, I mean, really, there's like 2 points for soldering, so it wasn't really too crazy. So frankenstrat lives. Frankenstrat lives like nobody's business, and I love this thing. The only other thing that I want to do to this thing is I want to replace the neck and the tuners on it. So let me grab that, and we'll run it through my little rig here, my little setup, and we'll see what you guys think. So, all right, so you guys remember what I had last time. Matter of fact, I kept the electronics. I keep all my crap. All right, so this is what we had, right? Nothing special, nothing great, single coils. Straight off a bullet strat. I went to Guitar Fetish, and everybody says, oh, those pickups are crap. Nah, they're not. Pickups are pickups. It all depends on how you set them up. Would these compare with a pair of Seymour Duncans? No. Do they work? Yeah, but I'm not going to spend a ton of money on a project like this. Just going to, it's going to get the sound that I need. So this is what I got. 2 antique style, covered humbuckers. 3-way switch. Right? Volume, tone. If I had to go back and do this over again, now that I've played around with this enough, I would probably go back and I would put 2 volume switches on it. I like being able to control the neck. I like being able to control the bridge to kind of dial in the sound, and this one volume thing kind of oversaturates it sometimes, and you get too thick, too muddy of a sound. But you can just kind of play with the volume and roll it off, and it works. I don't know. What does it sound like? Let's find out. Put the strap on. All right, let me put the strap on and we'll see what this thing sounds like. I'll run it through the same rig. The chunk, my drive. See what happens. Bet you'd be impressed. I was. Sure was. So, a little bit thin. It's not quite, like the ESP, but everybody's going to ask. I made a promise. I said, will it chug? That was a question that was on everybody's mind. So, will it chug? Well, let's find out. Bridge only. That's what I needed to. So, not done with this guy. I'm looking right now, trying to find some necks for this thing. I want something a little bit different. I like to try to find a different different tail to go on here, different tail piece. The one that's on there is the stock strap, bullet strap one. Maybe we could come up with something that's a little bit more adjustable, allow me to adjust the action. The neck that's on it's the same neck. I have found Warmouth has some necks. It's a project for another day. I'd like to replace this with like an arcade style neck, something a little more pointy, just because I can, my project, whatever. I do want to replace the tuners. These are awful. If you have any experience with these things, these are awful, but they get the job done for now. I do want to replace the tuners, so but that's it. It lives, it works. It's great for playing Gojira, things like that. It's got good action. It's, maybe some Motley Crue if you're into that. But I have my kind of tried and true. This is just kind of just one of those to see if I can do it. So yeah, that's it. If you have any questions about, what I talked about here, what I'm running, what I'm doing, or you just don't like what I've done, honestly, I don't really care. But you can get the tone out of the Marshall code. You can get the tone that you want. You just gotta know how to do it. And you gotta experiment around with it. Some people are like, oh, the foot switch is fine, and they're right. They're right. The amp is fine like it is. If you want to be limited by a sound. So the amp is fine like it is. It'll do what you need it to do. But if you want a little bit more, then you're gonna have to get creative with it. And that's what I had to do. Wanted more of the haunted Gojira, who does Stab Wound? That more of that kind of sound, more of that death metal, black metal, doom metal kind of sound. So I had to get a little creative and throw some stuff into the loop that made it work. And you're gonna have to do that too. So there it is. Everybody that says you should not put a pedal or anything in front of an already distorted amp or on a solid state amp, it'll never work. Beat that. All right, guys. So that's that for this week. I'll figure out something for next week. I don't know what yet, but I'll figure out something. If you have any questions, you have any settings, you have anything that you want to share that might get me there, that you think might get me there without the pedal, more than happy to try them out. But my guess is I'll probably be throwing a drive on top of them. So share your settings, see what you got. Throw it out there. Have a good week, guys.